Greetings and welcome to Ethio-Digest. My name is Sisai and I will be your host. We cannot but thank you, our audience, friends and families, for choosing to spend a quality moment with us as we welcome Ethiopia's New Year 2018. Nkutadash. As we wish you the best of the holidays and a great New Year, we want to congratulate all Ethiopians in their historic success. Against all odds, Ethiopians have heroically put all their resources together to realize their dream, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD. Congratulations and Happy New Year. In our weekly compilation of the current affairs of Ethiopia, we have titled today's presentation as Ethiopia's Diplomatic Debacle, the GERD, and Ethiopia's New Year Resolution. Nothing is more uncomfortable than celebrating a new year on the same day when the rest of the world is observing the 2001 9/11 terrorist attacks in the US. There is a feeling of airiness involved. It happened to be a date you can neither postpone nor forget. Despite the various particular circumstances that happen to be associated with it, the significance of the date remained the same. Mascaram 1st or September 11th remained a New Year's Day for all Ethiopians. And in our yesteryears of the electronic age, we have followed the joyful New Year's Eve celebrations with star-studded concerts and performances that ran to the wee hours of the morning. That celebratory tradition, ladies and gentlemen, was not without challenges. The first one took place in 1974. New Year's Eve 1966 on the Ethiopian calendar, when the infamous moving pictures of Jonathan Dimbleby showing the unforgettable suffering of Ethiopians was broadcasted on the Ethiopian television. The drought and famine that consumed communities across Wollo was juxtaposed against the lavish lifestyles of the emperor and the nobility. We remember what followed. 51 years ago, those unbearable pictures told the truth, and the truth did not save the king. And we must not hesitate to assert that today's pictures are also telling the truth, and the truth will not save the kingpin of the Prosperity Party. Yes, today's pictures are composed of several chilling images of the victims of Abiy Ahmed's reign for the last 7 years. These pictures do not need additional soundtrack. Pictures of the less fortunate contrasted against the outrageously extravagant and lavish lifestyle of the junta, not to mention the indecency and the dereliction of duty that are associated with it. These pictures are complete with horror and disgrace. It was in this strange year that all the seasons in the annual calendar brought nothing but pain, hunger, death and destruction in almost all the regions of Ethiopia. War, children, is just a shot away. Rape, murder, is just a shot away. Here are the Rolling Stones reminding us of the vices of war. But Ethiopians do not need reminders for war-related atrocities, like the ones in the Middle East or Ukraine, or the observation of September 11th. In fact, they do not need reminders at all, because in Ethiopia, the horror of war is an everyday phenomenon. We have our own homemade concoction for perpetual war, which is eating us alive. The scale and size of the warfare is huge, but not to the Western media. That doesn't have much interest in covering the fate of Africans. Why do we say such a thing? We say such a thing because all the casualties of the wars of Afghanistan and Iraq, all the victims of the 9/11 attacks, the Gaza conflict, the Russia-Ukraine war. All the lives lost in these brutal wars can be added together, but will not come close to the number of people killed in Ethiopia since Abiy Ahmed's ascension to power, or since the West awarded him the Nobel Peace Prize. We have come to realize we mean nothing to the world-renowned anchors and the Eurocentric limelight-chasing paparazzis. In the future, we hope the West will vet its candidates thoroughly before awarding them the license to kill their own people. In the future, we hope the media does not turn a blind eye when the slaughtering of millions of Africans takes place. In the future, we hope media outlets around the globe will have sympathy to the less fortunate Ethiopians under the despotic tyrant. But for now, let us be clear that Ethiopians in this holiday do not need to go far to experience that somber feeling and humility. We may sound sarcastic, but we would be justified in asserting that Ethiopians do not need any foreign interference or influence in reminding them that holidays are not just flowers and roses. Ethiopians also know that any festivity under the darkness of death and destruction would amount to blasphemy. Just look at this clip and observe. Frivolity is in full bloom. Yes, this is the state of the country without mentioning the fact that prices of customary holiday items have become untouchable by the populace. An egg costs 23 birr, a chicken runs from 2,000 to 4,000, a sheep costs 18,000 and above. A goat will cost 23 to 42,000 birr. Onions run 125 to a kilo, and butter stays at the 2,000 mark for a kilo during these holidays. What is a miracle is not the progress Abiy Ahmed is talking about. The miracle is the mere survival of everyday people. Now will be the time to turn our attention to the grand Ethiopian Renaissance dam, GERD. Whether it came from Mussolini, who tried to colonize us, or the British Empire's East African mission stipulation that denied us the use of even 1 liter of water of the River Nile, Ethiopians once more have proved to the world that they do not bow to colonialism or its laws. It's one of those moments we would treasure for eternity. Our congratulations to Ethiopians everywhere. The great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is an achievement beyond expectations. We firstly want to thank and admire our guests of honors, the 5 heads of states, but mostly the cast and crew that made us realize a dream. Once again, a big congratulations to all of us. Having said that, we must add our take on the inauguration ceremony of the great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, where we were utterly disgusted not only by the undermining of the role of the contributors to this great achievement, but also by the child play where Abiy Ahmed tried to steal the credit that does not belong to him. Just compare the following 2 pictures, displaying the same words that describe bravery in launching the Nile Dam project. Even though they were taken 14 years apart, not only the words, but even the place where they were exhibited to the public, Mescal Square, has not changed. Only the pictures have. We cannot allow ourselves to go as low as the Prime Minister did, and we will be fair and owe him the credit he deserves for completing the remaining 35% of the project in 7 years. But let's not forget that the same Abiy Ahmed, who told us that the GERD was a political project aimed at hurting Egypt, was not only the master of the ceremony, but he also lied on the world stage by claiming that he was the solo owner of the project. Leaving aside the learned men and women of the globe, he could have fooled some unsuspecting observers, as he successfully did when the world awarded him the Nobel Peace Prize, as he brilliantly fooled the nation's gentle women and men to believe that he was their savior, as he masterfully mobilized the rest of Ethiopia to invade Tigray and destroy the region. As a time when he came out smiling after launching of the market reform and congratulated Ethiopians for losing more than half of their lifetime savings. Or as the time when 7 years ago he congratulated Ethiopians that plenty of natural gas reserve was found. Unfortunately, he has forgotten that he had used the same term, the same line in 2018 and reused it in this last week. And now, ladies and gentlemen, he is bluffing about a nuclear program. Come on. If we didn't know better, we would have wrongfully assumed the actualization of a nuclear plant in Ethiopia, which makes us nothing more than a nuclear waste dump site. But the chance of that happening is zero. The world cannot afford the loose cannon to even visit a nuclear site, let alone own one. The same person who is recognized as a peacemaker is now producing drones and other deadly arms and ammunition. His insatiable appetite for war is out of control. Who in their right mind would allow this uncultured, dangerously lunatic juvenile to play with the nuclear energy side? No one. Not in this time and age. But the whole song and dance was not without results. It has resonated among some unfortunate souls who have always trusted authority. But now, the times have changed. Ethiopians know deception when they see it. Ethiopians know the difference between the truth and the lie. Ethiopians will not fall for this slapstick comedy and farce, and the world will not be fooled this time around. Out of the more than 100 heads of states invited, only 5 showed up. To be honest, except for a few who are not briefed on the situation on the ground, or are profiting from the wars, or are partners in his real estate firm, the overwhelming number of world leaders do not want anything to do with the lad. Therefore, they have abandoned the ceremony. Let us just take a moment and imagine this inauguration taking place during the reign of Haile Selassie, Mengistu Haile Mariam, Meles Zenawi, or even Haile Mariam Desalegn. World leaders from east to west and north to south would have descended on the occasion, and it would have been the biggest global festa Addis Ababa, Guba, and the rest of Ethiopia could have ever seen. But the brilliance and avant-garde state of the Ethiopian diplomacy that shined during the days of Katama Yifro and others is replaced by a juvenile junta that is scaring the lights out of the diplomatic community. Just look at the recent happenstance coming from the White House. President Trump just signed an order to extend the sanctions against Ethiopia for another year. That in itself may not be surprising, since the tyrant, also known as Abiy Ahmed, does not seem to understand or accept what is expected of him as a leader. What raised the world's eyebrows was that 2 American presidents, President Trump, a Republican, and President Biden, a Democrat, who seem to disagree on every other issue that comes across their desks, have no disagreements on the question of dealing with the region's troublemaker, Abiy Ahmed Ali. What Hamlet refers to as the insolence of office is real in Arat Kilo. And current leaders and powers around the globe are not unaware of the decadence and the liability that are associated with such feeble characters. They cannot be blamed for distancing themselves from small-time crooks and caricatures like Abiy Ahmed. Unfortunately, though, it is not him who is losing in this category. It is the Ethiopian people. Engineer Semenyo. Hauling concrete and heavy equipment in the southern borders of the Sahara Desert or the sizzling and sweltering heat of the River Nile Valley, away from his beloved children, his beloved family and friends, a legend who led an ordinary life. That man realized our dreams. The man who loved and parented his now grieving daughter and his 2 boys. A man who loved his country so much that he engineered and built the Ethiopian Dream project. If he was not a hero, one must wonder who else would be. Let's just imagine the opportunity of paying tribute to the contributions of the engineer. Let's not even mention that he was assassinated. Let's even put aside the fact that he has given up his life for the love of country. Let's put all that aside for now and do one thing: acknowledge his contributions. Yes, a simple appreciation. It may not mean much to the young man from Maksengit Gonda who took the bull by its horns and was stabbed by a traitor. It may not mean anything to the martyr, because he is no more. But it definitely would have warmed the hearts of many Ethiopians across the land, including his loving family. It would have assured them that the price he paid for love was worthy of the Latin depiction of heroism by Horatio Flaccus, which goes like this: Dulce et decorum e pro patria mori, meaning it is joyful and fitting to die for one's country. Can we imagine the pride and joy, the smile and love we could have bestowed on this boy and the girl, and the rest of Ethiopia? Can we imagine how this simple act of love could have shined in our memory? But we were not entitled to that sincere and joyful experience. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, virtue and wisdom such as this are alien to our current resident of Arat Kilo. Yes, the pride and confidence, the belonging and the love of humanity have left us. We are in the wilderness. Because politics is more important for some of us to even give credit where credit is due. This should take us to the former Prime Minister Meles Zenawi's contributions to this project and the juvenile approach displayed by Abiy Ahmed to deprive the recognition the man deserved. We are cognizant of the fact that, unlike the engineer, he was a political figure, and we are entitled to argue about his failures and successes as a person whose actions and policies have impacted the nation. But let's be clear, we will not hesitate to award him the recognition he deserves in this huge endeavor, the Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Why? Not only because he deserved it, but also because it is about time that we grow up. By growing up, women learning to take the high road and give credit where credit is due. We are aware of emotions running high in these turbulent times, and nothing less is expected. It is impossible to gloss over the heart-wrenching period we happen to be immersed in. We recognize that. But, brothers and sisters, our virtue lies in speaking the truth. The Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is an act that signified the demise of the rules and regulations of colonialism in the region. And Meles Zenawi was the one who stood on the forefront and told the West and the East, the North and the South, that Ethiopia will remain defiant to colonialism. As much as we wouldn't brush off the victory over colonialism by Menelik II and Haile Selassie I, and as much as we could not undermine the victory over Zaid Bare's invading army by Mengistu Haile Mariam, as much as we could not gloss over the victory over the Mahdist forces by Aze Yohannes, and as much as we could not but appreciate the uniting of the fragmented nation by Aze Theodros, we should be obligated to honor Meles Zenawi for leading Ethiopians achieve their dream, the Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. But it was not the masters of the project, like the Prime Minister or the engineer, who toiled day and night and who lost their lives on the journey, that were praised. Or it was not their descendants and families who took a front row seat at the ceremony, as they should have. It was people who campaigned against the project in the past. It was people who diverted the money raised and earmarked for this GERD project. It was a collection of spineless housemaids that gathered to salute and praise their master and clapped their hands off. And of course, the rotten to the core, highly corrupted, war-profiting generals and members of their criminal gang networks. Yes, it took an Italian businessman to mention the dream and dedication of a leader whose wits were unparalleled. It took a foreigner to appreciate the clarity and vision Meles Zenawi brought to the project. Let's watch the following clip.
But it was not obvious at all when we started the journey. I was working with, at the time, PM Meles Zenawi, visiting the Beles project which was under construction. We were near the little bay and he told me, I have a dream for this country. Energy independence and abundance. Can you design a project on the bay? I want a mega project, at least 6,000 megawatts, he stated. Do it quickly. A year after, he passed away.
For our part, we cannot help but appreciate Meles Zenawi's brilliance and efficiency, decorum and etiquette in diplomacy that paralyzed and dumbfounded the conspiratorial moves and intrigues of Egyptians. The Egyptians, who to this day have not decided to accept what has become a reality also known as the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Empires have come and gone. The majesties of the Ottoman Empire were turned back by Aze Johannes, who gave his life on the Battle of Galabat. The aspirations of the remnants of the Roman Empire met their match in Menelik II in Adwa. Haile Selassie I did not only battle against fascism, but he stood up on the world stage at the League of Nations and taught humanity a lesson it will never forget. And that's not all. He also fought for the freedom of Africans from the bondage of colonialism. And yes, the standing order of the British Empire about the use of the water from the River Nile that denied Ethiopia to use even a liter of its own water was laid to rest by Meles Zenawi. Because of this heroic move and dedication and the commitment of all Ethiopians, we are not only drinking from our river, but we have made a lake out of it, and have made it a power hub Africans are proud of. And that's not all. Imagine our ability to irrigate our farms during our dry seasons. Yes, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is real. And above all, we're doing all this without hurting a single Sudanese or a single Egyptian life. We seem to have championed over the force of colonialism, fascism and others by the virtue of leaders who were able to mobilize the people behind them. Empires will come and go. But in the annals of history, Ethiopians will remain the gallant warriors who defeated colonialism in 3 consecutive centuries, the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. As to Abiy Ahmed's efforts to steal the show, these words of a prominent political commentator seem to capture the transgression unveiled during the inauguration by saying, "Now even worse, he has stolen the tears from the Ethiopian mothers, fathers, and children." Ladies and gentlemen, before we close this subject, let us just contrast Abiy Ahmed's claim that we lost 15,000 people during the construction of the dam to the truth spoken on the world stage by the gentleman and scholar Mr. Salini. Let's watch the clip.
In these 15 years, 33 workers lost their life in road accident and other issues. I bend my head with respect and say a prayer for the people that gave their life for this achievement and for their families. Their memories will not be lost.
After thanking Signor Pietro Salini for his contributions to the project and for his honesty on the world stage, we want to turn our attention to Ethiopia's New Year resolution. Our time-tested portion to the what is the point of living attitude lies in one word: hope. And Ethiopians cannot afford to do without one. And the unrivaled deterrent to the unfettered lies and deceptions that are coming out of Arat Kilo is telling the truth. Our only hope happens to rely on telling the truth. And the truth is such that we Ethiopians have made a New Year resolution for 2018 Ethiopian calendar. And here is our New Year's resolution. We Ethiopians are ready to take charge of our own destiny. We are tired of war, displacement, death, murder, and rape. We're tired of assassinations and abductions, of hunger and disease, of being exiled and detained, of being tortured and killed. We're tired of perishing in the Mediterranean and the Red Seas, in the Sahara and the Arabian deserts. We're tired of shedding our blood in the killing fields of Oromia, Amhara, and Tigray regions. In short, we're tired of dying. But let us make it clear that we are resolved to stand up and put an end to all this. Even after the unbecoming ethnic discourse and tribalism we experience it, we have found a way to come to a common ground. We have made a vow as Ethiopians to exact a sweeping change across the land. In this New Year's resolution, we will own a country that will adore its children. This is the consensus among our people. To not celebrate this consensus and to not build on this momentum would be a tragedy. Even though some might find it hard to swallow, such is the truth. And this truth will not save Abiy Ahmed. Therefore, let us joyfully receive the new season that will mark the beginning of a new era, where we will open our eyes, hearts and minds and focus on the opportunities of peace, justice, freedom and love. We wish you the best of the years. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our presentation for the day. Thank you for joining us, and we wish you the best of times.